We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. The way to the end zone, and Georgia is going to conquer the Crimson Tide.
Told him, how about them fucking dogs? That's what I told him.
Hope it didn't take that long again. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs, you heard the man. What is going on? It is the 100 Sanford podcast. We are back. It's me, it's Coffee, it's the Big G coming on soon. He's stuck in traffic, but he's going to be here. Graham, where are you at?
I am. So I'm on the side of Interstate 40 in eastern New Mexico, thereabouts. I was in Athens last Saturday to watch the beatdown between the hedges, and my wife and I, we are both fully remote, so we bought a RV travel trailer type situation earlier this year. So yeah, man, I'm up here in the trailer. I'm chilling in my dinette. I got the Starlink linked up to a satellite dish so I can talk to you. I got 3 dogs laying on the floor next to me right now. There's a cat running around here somewhere too. So it's pretty much a traveling zoo, maybe a traveling circus, depending on who you ask. But
Bro, is wifey driving right now?
No. We're parked. We're parked for
You're
the
parked.
night.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to tell you, man.
I wouldn't be back here, You'd see a little of this action going on,
Yeah, right.
A little shaking.
First of all, that is true dedication, man. I mean, I don't know if anybody understands that, but that's true dedication to, pull off on the side of the road, do a show. You guys going to stay there for the night? Or you going to, go somewhere else more safe?
Yeah, we're here. We're here for the night. It's dark,
Nice.
So I mean, yeah, we woke up this morning in oh man, where were we exactly? Let me see again. Hold on. All right, so this morning we woke up in Hinton, Oklahoma. It's about 20 miles east of Weatherford, Oklahoma, which is another place you've probably never heard of.
No, man. And I've been to Oklahoma. I ain't heard of that.
We were at an RV park off of the original Route 66, which is kind of cool. It's flat in every direction.
Yeah, it is.
Windmills in the distance, all that stuff. And then we did make it all the way to Moriarty, Oklahoma. Or I'm sorry, Moriarty, New Mexico today. So we made some good time. We had about 8.5 hours in the car. And we're only about 4 hours from home when we wake up tomorrow. So
that's what's up, man. That's some good stuff.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been in we've been out on the East Coast for about 5 weeks. So we're heading back out here for Thanksgiving, and
you're gonna drive again?
Well, we're staying out. I'm saying like we're heading home.
Okay, gotcha.
West for Thanksgiving, and then we'll be back out for Christmas, but airplane this time. So
I feel you, brother. Hey, I tell you what, man, before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video. We need your help to promote the show that you love, and we appreciate you as always. Head on over to IG, TikTok, Facebook, and the X as well. Like and forward on the show to all of your friends. Then, last but not least, go on over to Dog Central, the collaboration for the nation with all the great intel, pods, video, and everything you like getting from Dog Nation. Also, folks, we gotta plug somebody. He's a loyal listener. Everybody needs insurance. Everyone needs insurance, bro. So, in order to make that happen, make sure you take care of your family. Hit up my guy, Justin Elijah, based in Texas, but a dog man through and through, who is licensed in all 50 states. He works with various major carriers, Mutual of Omaha, North American, AIG, and others, along with offering affordable options in life insurance, retirement plans, and others. Give him a call at 229-400-4759. And when you do, bark and tell him 100 Sanford sent you. Last but not least, folks, head on over to homefieldapparel.com, our favorite spot to get unique, comfortable, and officially licensed NCAA apparel. Choose from a wide selection of Georgia apparel in over 150 of your favorite colleges. Division I, Division II, Division III. Graham is rocking something right now. I'm telling you, the stuff is comfortable, man. You're going to love it.
My wife
Exactly.
steals the hoodies all the time.
All the time. I got my wife downstairs right now, man, looking up University of Pittsburgh stuff. You know, that's her alum. But holidays are coming, you know, so it's always useful and always convenient to use the online method and order gear with unique logos, mascots, and iconic moments of your favorite university. You have to get on there, order those things. Use the promo code 100 Sanford for 15% off your first order. That's 100 Sanford for 15% off your first order. And we promise you, I guarantee it, you will not be disappointed in the quality and the look of your newest collegiate item. So, with that being said, you were in Athens last week, Graham. Did you enjoy that beatdown, bro? Did you enjoy it?
Oh, it was a lot of fun to like game wise and just look, man, you know, I'm not going to, we talked about it a little bit last week on the pod. The Missouri crowd was, you know, not the most stellar I've ever seen in Sanford Stadium. Okay. Like doesn't mean it was a bad crowd. It just means it wasn't the best crowd. So I thoroughly enjoyed the Ole Miss game. You know, it was cold. It was rainy. The metal bleachers were chilly on the butt. And what that did, I think, was kind of brought out, you know, the children were put to bed. You know, it was a 7:30 or 7 o'clock game, you know, like just it had that vibe even walking into the stadium where it was like, this crowd is rabid. Like this crowd is fired up, you know, a lot of hype around this game. And it felt like the crowd wanted to see Georgia make a statement, and then Georgia, you know, made that statement. And it took a little while for them, you know, to not a little while, but you know what I'm saying? Like Ole Miss did get the score to 14 all, and then it was just so yeah, it was a lot of fun to watch. Really beautiful, like Veterans Day halftime show that went on. So, you know, just the whole experience that Josh Brooks and the crew over there are putting on, from, you know, getting into the stadium, getting out of the stadium, concessions, like everything is top notch. It's first class right now. It's the best I've ever seen it at UGA in my, you know, 28 years of going to football games. So, yeah, man, it was a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, you can't beat it when you're a back-to-back national champion and things are just rolling, right? I mean, everything should be top-notch. If anything's below that, I mean, you're just at a piss-poor university, in my opinion. But Josh Brooks is definitely one of the best ADs out there, if not the best. I mean, they are doing some fantastic things down there at Georgia. I was not there, obviously, but I did watch this game on TV, and it looked better. The atmosphere looked better than it looked against Missouri. That was the first thing. Even though it rained during, you know, the beginning of the day and everything else, and like you said, it was cold and it was wet. It just felt like the atmosphere, the crowd was more electric. Maybe it's because it was a night game. I'm not sure, but it just seemed and felt more electric. It kind of went down the way that we talked about it, me, you, and Big G. It was a game that I never worried about in one bit. Even when it was 14-14, I said, you know, here it comes. And what did we say, man? They turned it on. And it was one of those things that as long as it didn't rain, they were going to blow that team out. And that's exactly what happened. I think all of us were like maybe a touchdown or 3 or 4 points off of our prediction. And it could have gotten much worse, quite honestly. I think they held off just a little bit towards the end. But they were clicking on all cylinders, man. And, you know, if it's not for those first couple of drives that Georgia continues to allow happen at the beginning of games, people will be talking about them being just as dominant as they have been the last few years. Because when they want to turn it on, they completely turn it on, bro. And when they want to just snuff teams out, they completely snuff teams out. But we also know that when Georgia makes those adjustments, it's over. It's lights out.
Yeah.
Nobody's better in the business with Kirby and having all of that maturity on that defensive side of the ball, it's unreal, right? The adjustments that this team makes and just completely takes an offense away from them, even from a guy like Lane Kiffin, who's very creative. I mean, we got to give Lane some, big time.
They had some stuff schemed up those first
exactly.
Drives, man.
They did, but after that, I don't care what he schemed up. Nothing happened. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. No, I agree. Yeah, and I mean, I think that's what like fans I think need to realize is, Georgia's #1 team in the country. So as a staff, as a team, as a group of players, like you are going to come into that game and you are going to gear up all week to throw the best punch you can throw. And the reality of what Georgia's defense is right now with how good this secondary is like you can get game scripted out of the game really quickly against Georgia. Because if you fall behind by 14-17 to Georgia and you have to play catch up through the air, you're not going to be successful. It's going to be hard to do. And so I think like you're seeing teams come into games and throw, everything that they have, like the best stuff, whatever they've been saving in the back of the playbook. Like, they come out and they break tendencies and they do it early with the hopes that like, hey, if we can get a couple quick touchdowns, maybe we got a shot to stay in this thing. And then you never know, like maybe you get a turnover, maybe you get a big special teams play, like who knows what happens. But Georgia, they kind of weather that storm and then they adjust and figure out what's going on. And then it's kind of lights out from there. And I think the scary thing, if I was a future UGA opponent to look at, is that like Georgia's adjustments, at least the last couple of weeks from my view, in a lot of ways, especially against Ole Miss, was like they just made things simpler. Like they just basically said like, all right, we're going to man up across the board. Linebackers, like this is what you're doing. Nothing too complicated. No switching in and out of zones or passing guys off between areas in the zone. Like y'all just go play and go be better than the guy across from you. And all 11 did that, and they did it really well. And I was very, very impressed with some of those youngsters on defense. Obviously, CJ Allen, but Kristen Miller, I thought, had a whale of a game.
Yeah, man, it's fun. It's exciting to see these guys grow up. And, George talks about it all the time. He says, look, that's a very difficult defense to learn. And yes, you might go to some other universities and be able to start right away as a freshman. You might be able to get a lot of time immediately with some other universities. A lot of the times it's because of necessity. They're out there making mistakes. And yes, natural ability is just allowing these guys to play at a high level or at least a moderate level to be somewhat successful. But when you go to Georgia, you're relied on by 10 other guys, 9 other guys, 8 other guys on that side of the field. And those guys, they want you to play at a high level and you can't make mistakes. One thing about Georgia is that although we have seen some breakdowns early on, right, against some teams that earlier in the year. What's up, Big G?
Yo, what's happening?
What's up?
Man, guess what?
What?
You won't believe this. Lamar, you froze? You got so surprised that I froze you up?
He is frozen, isn't he?
He is
I'm
frozen.
listening to you.
I'm that handsome, huh? Man, I was gonna say, man, the dog's undefeated. Still.
Oh, again, they are. Dogs undefeated. Yeah. Can you believe
Again, I know people are like rats.
It's wild, isn't it?
Dogs undefeated, man. Hey, it's just another week and we undefeated. Right. Lamar is frozen.
Lamar's stunned by. I mean, I think it's just the G forces here we got going on, man.
Now
put two of us together on the screen, it's too much.
Yeah, man. What happened? G came on and all of a sudden there was electricity that hit the entire
that bandwidth up.
What is going on, bro?
I don't know, man. I tell you what, though, Dog was undefeated. Again. Could you believe that?
Yes, sir.
Undefeated. The Bulldogs undefeated, man. Can you believe that? I didn't know
It
if you
was
knew.
something. It's
I didn't know if
expected.
you. I didn't know if you knew that. We're still undefeated. You
You trying to make that go viral again?
dig? Yeah, man. But no, man. What y'all talking about, man? I hate I was late.
No,
Talking about them youngsters on
Yeah,
defense and what they did to those Rebels.
Yeah, man. Give me some more in depth. I watched the whole game. Of course, there's one guy that really stood out. He has double threes. But who else? Who else was doing that thing that you saw? I know you watch with a different eye for your content.
Sure. Well, I was there on Saturday, so you know how it is. It's obviously different when you're at a game and kind of what you see and what you don't see sometimes. But I just noticed on those first couple drives that Ole Miss they were hitting some stuff in the run, and they were hitting some stuff up the middle that you don't normally see Georgia give up. And then number 52, Kristen Miller, the youngster at defensive tackle, came in, and it felt like, he immediately started knocking guys back. And, even on plays where maybe he wasn't taking space from the offensive lineman in front of him, he was certainly holding his gap, and, running backs were forced to bounce things outside where help was. So, I was very impressed with him, and I was impressed with Jordan Hall too, the true freshman defensive tackle, 44. There were some moments. I think we've seen him do some things in pass rush this year that have been good, and we kind of know that's a part of his game. But I thought we saw more from him in run defense than we had at any point so far this year. So, man, it looks like Georgia's got another set of really good D tackles coming up.
Hey, Graham, I got to pause it. Because you know what happens when we do our show. We get some of the best guests to come on to the show. And I'm going to let Big George, do the honors on this. But, we gotta introduce him the correct way, George. So here we go.
Could it be a dog?
I hope it's a dog.
Could it be a dog? You hear them. You hear that fourth quarter music. Sorry for my crooked fingers for those that watching. For real. Yeah.
You got them goblins.
Before you hear that fourth quarter music, man. You know what I'm saying? Is the guy that we got coming on right now has some history in the fourth quarter in Knoxville, to say the least. Some real big history. One of the greatest calls in football history by the late great Larry Munson. We got the man. Hey, you see the name right there, Hobnail Boot. Pass 44 Haynes. You know what I'm saying? Make sure they know what the play was. You know what I'm saying? Pass 44 Haynes. We got my man Baron Haynes in the house. UGA legend. This guy, he came to us, transferred to us, and was an immediate impact. Started out blocking for people. You know what I'm saying? But listen, you do your job, and then sometimes you get thrown a bone. And when he got thrown that bone, he didn't give it back. he didn't give it back, man. Thank you for joining us on 100 Sanford, man. How you doing?
What's up, my dog? What's up, my dogs?
Yes, sir.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, Big Haynes?
Everything is well, man.
And another thing, this guy right here, Lamar Lovelace, is a staunch supporter of the terrible towel wielding people up there in the Northeast.
Wait, the terrible towel!
He's a big time Steelers fan.
I usually got a towel around here. Where the towel at? So I gotta get on my wife. I usually got the towel hanging around.
Hey, Lovelace, let me tell you something, man. Listen, it was like heaven up there whenever we had all them dogs up there at one point, man. They couldn't go through a draft without picking up one of us.
At least.
What I mean?
You had
At
Hines, you had Veron, you had
Kendrell
Bell,
Bell,
you
Kendrell,
had
ring your
Arnold,
bell.
Arnold
Harrison,
Harris, you had JT Wall, you had Fred
JT
Gibson.
the
Come on,
Wall.
Fred Gibson, man. The list goes on, brother.
Yes, sir. Now you got Pickens up there.
Yes, sir.
It
Yes,
keeps,
sir.
it
Doing
keeps
his
going.
thing.
Gotta have some dogs, man.
And now you know why we have a championship standard.
Absolutely.
You know why?
Absolutely. Year
Yes,
in
sir.
and year out.
Yes, sir.
They got to come get us in the SEC, baby.
Hey, Big Haynes, man. Let's get right into this, man. I mean, what's your biggest memory of this game, the Hobnail Boot game? What's your biggest memory from this?
Man, honestly, it was Coach Rick's first year, right? So I think that was our first time that we kind of relished and it kind of enlightened us to what that fourth quarter workouts that he had brought to us from his Florida State years. Finish the drill. That was our motto. We had it on shirts. And before then, we hadn't worked. We worked. Trust me, we worked. But it was a different kind of work. And George, you could attest to that.
Yeah, we didn't know.
It
kind of slapped us. Those guys that's been here, you know, I was juniors and seniors, it kind of slapped us in the face. It's like, whoa,
man, because I tell you what, it wasn't about, you know, the immediate impact was to break us, right? And know that at some point in the season, this is going to come back and be the Achilles heel that propel us to victory, right? And you could have been perfect. Those first weeks of that mat drill, I don't care if was like A1, that whole group, go back, do it again, at least 3 times. And we would look at each other, and then you want to fight your brother, right? Because it's like, what did you do? Like, come on, pick it up.
Yep.
Like, no, we were right.
Because it's on the whole group.
Yeah, it's on the whole group.
I think that started, and you just, I always want to give the props and give credit to Coach Rick in the system that he brought and how to work, because it obviously had worked before. Florida State had a program that was perennially in the mix of everything, you know, from championships to always being right there in the thick of things toward the end of the year. And he brought that same style of preparation to Georgia. And we got better. You know, we didn't get to the top of the mountaintop, but in his second year, my senior year, we won the SEC. Yep. You know, that hadn't been done in 20 years. We won the SEC. And then they won it a couple years later. Like, it was, you know, and then a string of just really, really good seasons. And it started with the attitude that he brought to Athens, and
the late great Coach Van too.
Yes, Coach Van Hallinger.
Van
Hallinger. Yep. The late great Van Hallinger with the strength program. We got stronger. We had more endurance. You know, and I was watching that the Hobnail Boot play today. Well, like the plays that right before, I didn't realize, and you know, I had not watched in a while. I didn't realize it was so little time left. After the green that Steven scored on, it was like 40-something seconds.
Yeah, when Randy took that kickoff, right? And then
why would they? I don't know why they squibbed, but like,
kudos. Look, I would be remiss, George, every time I talk about that play, right? And this weekend, I'll be remiss if I don't mention Damian Gary, Jermaine Phillips with the interception. I mean, our defense balled and kept us in that game, right? You got Randy McMichael making those one-handed catches, and kudos to David Green for playing out of his mind.
Yeah,
110,000 in front of 110,000 screaming fans. Like he
doesn't get a lot of the notoriety that he probably deserves for playing so well so young.
Right.
Like
right.
he came in and it was something coach saw about him. You know, we had other talented guys. We had Shock, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
But that poise, though.
He really liked David Green,
Yeah,
and
he didn't get
David
rattled.
Green, and he didn't let him down.
Yeah, he
You
didn't
know,
get rattled.
He held some
To
records
me,
for a
to
while.
me, him and Coach Rick, like personalities are similar, right? Like they were just cool ice.
I
And I
never
don't know
thought
if you
about that.
remember this, George, but I had totally forgot about P44 Haynes. We hadn't ran it. We
That's
ran
right.
it
That's
when
right.
he came
That's right.
in, right?
Yeah.
And you put it in training camp and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I had totally forgotten. That wasn't in the playbook that week. Right?
Wow.
I hadn't even. He's like, yeah, all right. So we're gonna call a timeout, and then we call the timeout, and we're on the on the sideline. He goes, we're gonna go with P44 Haynes. I'm like, oh my God, what do I do? Right? So I had to really think and recalibrate myself, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. So get this. So he goes, David, you'll know right away if it's open and it'll be there because we was out of timeouts at the time. He said they'll be in cover 2, too hot. And at the time, I didn't know how to read defenses, right? So he said, right. He said, I was a typical fullback. He was like, just see ball, get ball, and just hit somebody. But he said, you'll know right away if they're in cover 2. If it's there, take it. It'll be wide open. If not, throw it away. We have another play. We'll call another play. Cool. Mm-hmm. So during the cadence, get this, he was going 232, 232 quarters, V. And I'm like, so now I know quarters is too high, and I know it's coming to me, right? Yeah. So it's like shaking in my boots.
That had to feel crazy.
You were open by like 10 yards. What did that feel like? I mean, were you like almost scared you going to drop the ball? You were that open?
Did you see? Like, if you slow it down, I'm catching it like this now. Like, it's a thing in football as almost being too open, right? Yeah. You almost want to be covered a little bit where you can, it's like make it like practice, what you do every day in practice. I'm standing there and I'm open. And that ball stood up in the air for so long. It was like super slow motion, right? And then thank God I hung on just enough time to secure the catch. But yeah, that wouldn't have been good, man. You talk about going from the outhouse to the penthouse or the penthouse to the outhouse real quick, right? If that ball would have hit the floor.
How often do you get asked about this game? I mean, because you've done a lot of things in your career. Obviously now you're a Super Bowl champion as well. But how often do people go back to that particular game, that particular moment, and want you to rehash that?
Quite often. That's the notoriety play that I've particularly known for at Georgia. A lot of people remember where they were when it kind of happened, right? They like, I was there, or I was watching it with my dad, or I remember that like just yesterday. And because nobody put you in the game like Larry, right? And people would turn the TV volume down, cut the radio volume up, and Larry would put you in the game. So with that being said, everybody remembers that call because Larry put you in the game, and he made that a household marquee name and play in Georgia history. And kudos and shout out to Larry, man. I mean, nobody was better than Larry, the late great Larry Munson.
Yeah. What people may not know, not that they should know. I'm an old raggedy lineman, but that's one play. I've been in some I guess I guess you would say defining plays at Georgia. But that play, I was not on the field.
Oh, really?
I know people most people would say that I was on the field. People talk all the time. They think I was on the field.
Yeah.
We were in a situation that year when we got Kareem Marshall.
Yeah.
It was 3 senior tackles. So it was me,
Mm.
Kareem, and Stinch. So Coach Callaway, to get us all playing, he rotated all of us. Like it was
Is
like
that
every
right?
series, every other series, or whatever the case may be, we all rotated. So that wasn't my series. And so I was
Wow.
I was in them on the field goal afterwards, but I was not in that play. You know what I'm saying?
Dang, I never realized that, George. I never
On the other
realized
hand,
that.
I was in the play that Michael Johnson caught.
Yeah.
And I think Reem wasn't on that play. Like it was like it's just so happened to be I wasn't on that play. So I saw it all develop. Like it was nuts, insane.
Man. And wasn't it? I mean, like you could after Travis. So take it back. Travis breaks that screen pass. That place was loud. Like
I tell people this all the time. Wasn't it shaking?
It was
like you could feel
the vibrations.
It felt like an earthquake.
You could really feel the vibrations in that stadium, right? And it erupted. And before that stadium, it was South Carolina. It was the loudest I've ever been in. But that stadium overtook it like night and day. And you could actually feel, like to George's point, you could actually feel the stadium like shaking. And what people don't understand is they were so silent. You like a church mouse because they put us way up atop a Neyland Stadium, and it was like a church mouse in there. They couldn't believe what just had happened, and what had happened was we stepped on their faces and broke it. Oh man, it was great. It was great. And I don't know to people that if you ever heard this, that haven't heard this before, but did you know that Larry didn't know what a hobnail boot was?
I think I heard that, but I don't think we. I don't
know what it was.
Didn't he make it up? Didn't he make it up?
No. So
it's a real thing.
It is. It's a German boot that they used to wear with the soldiers.
Facts.
The soldiers is spike. It's just like a hobnail boot. Like, that's really what it was. But
he didn't know.
So no, he didn't. That was just the greatness of him, right? It just rolled off his tongue. And so he's in the locker room doing an interview for like one of the CBS or whoever was doing the game that week. And he's getting asked, he's like, well, Mr. Mudson, what is a hobnail boot? Smoking a cigar. The hell if I know. And I turned to Larry, I was like, huh? You don't even know. He didn't even know what a hobnail boot is. So fast forward, I ended up meeting his grandson about 10 years later. And he told me that he would come over to his grandfather's house, and his dad was the caretaker, so he would go with his dad. And that week, Larry had always forgot, they had got him a clicker, but he would leave that TV on because he wanted to take it off himself. But he had fell asleep watching old German movies, so that was where like it came from. I didn't,
Wow.
For those who didn't know that story, that was pretty interesting too when I heard that. Yeah. So
that's crazy.
And he just made it work.
What is the craziest story you've ever gotten from a Georgia fan about, where they were or what they did when that play happened? Because I would imagine any Georgia fan that meets you immediately goes into, let me tell you, how I felt when I watched you make that play.
Right. I think I have the craziest story, and I'll tell you why. Because before the plane touched down in Athens, I had broke up with my girlfriend, Well, I was going out that night, boy. I wasn't even gonna lie. George, I was not going to even fake the funk that day. It wasn't gonna be fair to her. I was gonna lay that day up, baby. So, hey, listen, kudos to her. She know who she is. She was the real one, but I wasn't gonna lie to you, baby. So,
wow.
That is by far.
No, man.
Listen,
Story.
when you make Georgia history like that, that might be the best move, man. You remember when I think Quincy was out. I think Shock was. I forgot what the case was, but Corey Phillips started or played with us at Kentucky.
Yes, sir.
And like when we came back from Kentucky, he was the man.
What
he was? What I say?
Corey was ask, 3 sheets to the wind.
If you ask
before
him
we
about
got off that plane,
he'll tell you. He was like, it was unbelievable. Like when you make Georgia history, man.
Right.
Like,
well, George, you ain't telling that story right, because just a week before in practice, right, Quincy was the man, right? So we didn't need Corey Phillips at the time. So Coach Corey threw a pass in practice. I swear to God, y'all. Yeah. Coach Donnie said, "What was that, Corey? That is the worst pass I've ever seen in my life. That shit belongs in the Smithsonian Institute." So you have that the week before, and then Quincy Garrett and Corey's got to play. And I mean, at that point, you could look. Hey, Rick James was in the house, right? You could put a fur coat on Corey, and he was the man. Coach Donnie was almost handed him the coat and the fur hat to go with it, because he was the man, right? Now,
Yes,
what was you saying about that pass, Coach? But just the week before, Corey had threw a pass. Corey was Corey. He
was the backup QB. You just chilling.
He was chilling. He wasn't worried about this. Quincy's the man. He ain't gonna have the QC. So he's just having fun in practice. And he rocket shooted a pass that was over this raw receiver's head, and Coach Donnie lit into his ass.
So what y'all were saying now that, first of all, you broke up with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Right. You basically on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even want to even imagine what it's like to be a back-to-back national champion and what life is like in Georgia.
God.
Listen,
them boys.
And I ain't gonna throw them out there, but there's some cats that are still with their girls, and I'm like, oh boy, I hope this don't get out to their girls. But hope they're not watching this episode.
I know, right? I know. Hey, listen, these boys are much more mature than we were ever, right? We just didn't, didn't have
we didn't have social media.
We didn't have social media. We had common sense. I mean, listen, we got lucky, George, and we dodged that bullet with no social media.
Right.
Boy, shoot. You said, because plenty of times, man, I was sleeping. I don't know what you're talking about. Why you didn't answer your phone? I was sleeping. You was no pictures. It was no pictures back then, boy. You couldn't find me. It was no tracker 360 on my phone. All that stuff where you put that. What is that? That air tag or whatever. Oh man, listen, nonsense. Total nonsense. I would not advise. I don't know how these guys do it nowadays, but to your point. They deserve everything, because these guys work hard, man, and it's showing out there, man. They just find a way week in and week out. As I look at Georgia, man, I'm so impressed with what Kirby has done with that program. He's came in and he's built a powerhouse dynasty, right? And everybody year in and year out says, this is going to be the year that the dynasty breaks up, and they losing so many people, and you lost 17 people last year to the draft, and you lost two in 2 years. You got Philadelphia's got a starting 53-man roster, and all that. They could say what they want, but somehow, some way, he keeps reloading and coming right back. Right, he ain't going nowhere. He on that porch, and he ain't leaving. He ain't leaving that porch. Yep.
They have a way of doing things that doesn't change no matter who's on that team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And so that's huge. You know, he don't waver with anything.
Right.
You know, he figure out where to tweak here and there, but the foundation, the basis of that team does not change.
Right.
And so
what do you know? This week, Tennessee always goes to that fast-paced offense, and I think that hinders them sometimes, right? Because honestly, 3 and out, that you can't get in the rhythm. So with our big guys and our defense playing as well as they have been, I think that's going to be a factor in this game. And if we could methodically move that ball the way that we have been, and those running backs look good last week, boy.
They're looking good now.
They look good. It's good to have those health.
Y'all tell me if I'm
stable back.
Like it's like a repeat of last year for Kendall. Like he started out, he got stronger at the end. Like last week, he could jump cut. You know what I mean? He could run with power. He can get out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he's looking much better than he did early on. Much. When I say much, it's like night and day almost.
For real. For real. And I heard that he's not even at full capacity yet. So which is even scarier. Right?
Yeah.
Because
for a while it felt like we had one back and then maybe some more. Man, now we got two really strong ones. Then those young guys came at the end last week.
Good.
Yeah, man. Those they look good, man. It looked like we're getting healthy and stronger and peaking at the right time. If that's a thing, right? I don't think. I think playing good football, not peaking, playing good football at the right time, because now we're healthy and everybody's in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Because we always found a way, regardless whether you call it peaking or not. I mean, a win is a win, and until you beat the champ, you could talk about it. You can but guess what? When you still undefeated in those how many? When's the last time we lost?
Last time we
December
lost was
2021.
Yeah.
Dog. Yeah, that's a long damn time, man. That's a long damn time. So people get close. I know it. They licking their chops. Auburn had, you had it on the ropes. Yeah. Close out. If it was a fifth.
If was a fifth.
Everybody talks about, hey, we almost had you. And then they go like this.
Jerome, we lost some of your sound.
Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah,
okay.
You're back on now.
I was saying, don't be a hand clapper. When you get up and
we used to get fined. We used to have fines for that in Denver.
Oh yeah, man. Don't be no hand clapper, man.
You know what that is,
They said that we got close. They always clap their hands.
So we watching film. If we watching film, like from practice or whatever, or the game, and like you mess up, and then you're like, and then you like, and then like sometimes guys get a little Superman. They be like, The coach would be like 5, 10, 15. Head clap. And everybody in the room was snitching. big snitching. You know what I mean?
You didn't have to snitch, George. The eye in the sky don't lie.
Coach, rewind that. Is that a
Yeah. The eye in the sky don't lie, man. It's right there. Damn it.
Hey, Veron, you got a unique view, though. I mean, I wanted to bring this up because, one, you're a Georgia alum. I mean, you're a DGD. You follow the team. You follow the program. But you also have a son, who's one of the top backs in the country. I mean, the elephant's in the room, even though it's an elephant. You know what I mean? You get a chance to see both programs. Yeah, no pun intended. But you get a chance to see both programs from a unique view. In your opinion, what is similar and what is different than these two programs right now? Because we do have an SEC championship game that's going to come December 2nd.
Right. So the similarities is that they're both high-powered program, coached really well, right? And let me go back. And Justice knows that. I'm a Justice Haynes fan. I love my son, father, son, everybody who got kids. Know that I'm always going to be a fan of my kid. But I bled, sweat, and tears to where my university is right here, right? So I'll bleed red and black, and his mama gonna tell you the same thing. His mama went to Georgia, and she gonna say she, red and black is where, but we cheer for justice, and where he is right now in his program. So if y'all see me at the SEC game, I'm being all black. Right? I'm being all black, right? So just for the record. But the two programs are the similarities are that they're coached very well. No, that's make no mistake about that. They both want to establish some kind of run. And defense, both balls out. I think the similarities come on the defensive side more so. I think now that Alabama has found their quarterback, right, and where Georgia knew who theirs was, right, and that's where the similarities and the differences lie. But to me, it's going to come down to the fewest mistakes. Two programs that have played against each other, know each other's. These kids all could have went to either school, right? Some have transferred from school to school, right? They know their identities and what each other is trying to do. Played against each other in high school and all that, and I think it's going to come down to who create turnovers on defense, right? And then eliminate penalties, stupid penalties, especially pre-snap penalties, and then hold on to that football. Methodically move that football, run that, and eat that clock up. But I don't know how you stop Brock Bowers. And that's just me. I mean, that guy right there is playing, every single week. You know where it's going. Everybody in the stands, everybody that's watching TV knows where the ball is going. And it just somehow he is always in the right spot at the right time and catching a touchdown. So
yeah.
If they can find a way to put 12 people on Brock, maybe they'd be effective. But I don't think they got that many. That many's allowed on the field, man. So good luck.
Facts.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Brock, you played with some pretty good tight ends yourself, right? You were in Pittsburgh with some dang good tight ends. I already know that. What makes him unique in your view? Because everybody talks about it. Everybody has a different perspective. What is so unique about him? I know George has talked about it. George has said, "Hey, that dude could have went first round as a freshman." But in your personal opinion, what's your view on him?
What do you classify him as? Right? Everybody says he's a tight end, but really, is he? Is he right? He's just an athlete. He's just like arguably he does everything at an elite level, right? He runs like a wide receiver. He's shifty like a running back, right? I seen him catch a pass, his first pass that showed everybody that ankle was healthy, and he juked that kid and went up, and then he has a little oomph to give you if you want to get brolic with him, right? And he blocks. He does everything at an elite level where you can't really just say that he's weak in any one thing category. So to me, he just stars all across the. Usually, you can find and exploit somebody's weakness. He doesn't have any. And that's what I would say about Brock.
Well, and I mean, I think, all of the physical gifts you just listed off, but the mentality, right? Like, I mean, how many guys have we seen in recent years that were in line to be, top 10 or first round draft picks that they get injured late in their senior year and, for very good reasons, they decide not to come back because they want to protect that draft stock. They want to get ready for the draft. And I totally respect that, right? They should, if that's what they feel like is the best for them. But to be back out, 26, 27, 28 days after having surgery on your ankle, when you might be a top 5, top 10 pick, and then to go out and play as many snaps as he did, like, it's unique, man. And I mean, I do think it speaks to kind of the culture that Kirby's built over there. And it's a pretty powerful thing when your best players are also like your best leaders, right? And I think that's what you get with Brock Bowers.
Right. And to your point, like, you have guys right now, forget a season. They're trying to talk about whether they're going to play in the playoffs or in the bowl games and stuff like that. I'm like, that wasn't even an option for us, George, right? We're going to play. Like, this is what I signed up for, right? This is my teammates. Like, I understand, and that's them, whatever they do. But for us, we were going to play, right? Regardless. And then to top it off, you talk about a guy who is just, I mean, no nonsense, shows up and we all knew about his dedication to football and his commitment to his physical working, doing more than the other man as a freshman, right? And then, I think it's all unfolding, and it's no surprise to anybody when they see his success on the field. But
he's the perfect, just coming, like, just looking, like, in my background of scouting, like, he's the perfect prospect.
Absolutely.
Like, he's perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm assuming he's gonna have excellent background when they do that. I'm assuming his he's gonna tight ends have from playing football, playing fullback, tight ends have a big job in the offense. They block, they catch,
especially now that the fullback is removed.
They play some of that. They have a lot of responsibilities in the offense, and he does not. So I know he's smart. Like, he's going to check he's going to check every single box in the pre-draft process. And I wish I was still scouting so I could see what it would look like from behind the scenes. Just, putting a grade on that guy. I'm pretty sure it's going to be, it's going to be what we call a blue, which is, excellent, top tier, top of the food chain. But, like, everything from off field, on field, he's going to check every box, and that's impressive.
To me, those guys don't come along. That's like
he's a unicorn Manning. For sure.
That's like Peyton Manning. You knew Peyton was going, like, he checks all the box, right? As far as you're going to be a better team with him on the roster, right? Because he's going to make everybody else better. And those guys don't come along too often. They're very few people that checks every box. So Brock checks every box.
Well, we got them Vols again this weekend.
Yeah, man.
And hopefully it don't come down to a hobnail boot play. But me and a few a few guys that we're gonna head up there this weekend.
Yep.
Old Charles Grant.
Oh yeah.
Big snacks. We're gonna head up there. We're gonna head up there this weekend and see what we can do, man.
Man, listen, you guys have a great time. Be safe up there. You know.
I hope it's a blowout. I don't want to be up there nervous and stuff, and they have given them opportunity to talk trash. Like we went down to the Auburn game too, and for a minute it was kind of sketchy. I wasn't worried, you know what I'm saying, but for a minute it was like, okay, I don't want to hear these people's mouth. Let's go ahead and get this done. I don't,
Hey George, only two kind of people wear orange, right? Hunters and convicts. So no, man, it should be fun, man. We're gonna tear them a new one. That's in my opinion. They're gonna try to bark a little bit, but what's the dog name?
What's the dog name?
Smokey or something like that?
He's gonna get smoked.
Smokey ain't barking. Smokey ain't barking hard.
Yelping.
That little poodle. That ain't gonna be enough. That ain't gonna be enough.
Hey, Veron, before you get ready to get up out of here soon, I got a question to ask you because this is something that's in the news right now, right? We're talking about Michigan. We're talking about Jim Harbaugh, and I know, being a Steeler man, you got some experience with some teams that were, cheating and trying to steal, Super Bowls from us.
Yeah.
What are your?
Oh yeah. Let's get into this.
Yeah, see,
y'all are opening some big cans of worms.
Hey, man, I ain't afraid. You know what I mean? I got Big George backing me up. What are your thoughts on the Michigan saga, thing that's going on right now, and then kind of backtrack and go to your thoughts on what happened with that Patriot thing?
So definitely, I agree. If it does come out to be true, and it's cheating. Period. You got caught. Pay the penalty. Pay the price, like we all do. And honestly, should be removed. I love what Shannon said. Should be removed from the college playoff, because here you go. Here it is that now that's going to shine a different kind of light if they do happen to make the championship. You're going to be talking about they cheated, they were in there. That's going to be a different issue, and that's going to come out too. So to nip it in the bud and prevent anybody from doing it again, that's how you stop the deflate gate, or however you want to do it, is you just totally make a statement, right? And you make a hard statement. So, it's no slapping on the wrist with this. Sure, the kids are going to be, and I get it, but the kids are affected if the star player gets in trouble too. Like, if he can't play, you do get if 90% of my offense is through my quarterback, and somehow my quarterback does some knucklehead stuff and is suspended, guess what? We all feel that, right? So guess what? You're head coach. You're the leader of the damn team. You got caught. Bro. Now, does it go on? I don't know. I can't speak for everybody. I don't know. Maybe it does, but you got caught.
Right. I know we talked about it before, and George has mentioned, That's
So
just the thing, you know, people steal signs. I mean, that's part of
Yeah.
the game,
My
but
my
I think with
my
anything else, it was just them going behind the veil and having people on sidelines, and I mean, some
the
egregious stuff.
glasses.
yeah, as it
Yeah.
unfolded, you know, at first when it first came out, I was like, okay, people still saying like you still got to play the game. Like I didn't really care too much. But as all the info unfold is kind of like, this is kind of weird. Because first I looked at it like all they were doing was advanced scouting. The same thing I used to do in the pros. I was in advance. I advanced games. I got up in the press box. I had my binoculars. All that it was fine and dandy. It was legal, you know what I mean? But none of that is legal in college ball. So I thought he was essentially doing advanced scouting, which was illegal. I didn't realize it was
Espionage.
espionage.
Right.
I didn't realize it was what it was. And like, yeah, you got to do something about that.
And
If it's really
glasses. You took it to the glasses and all that. I mean, come on, bro.
yeah.
Well, I
Like,
mean, I think like the thing that really put it over the edge for me was when the report came out saying that they were basically giving signs of teams that they didn't want to play against in the playoff to opponents on their schedule. Like that's trying to basically
Whoa.
set the whole
Yeah,
net.
Allegedly.
No, it was in the Big Ten's letter
Really?
that came out
Really?
from the lawyers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, it's
So that's damn.
Wow.
That's like, hey
That's
George,
crazy.
you know that cousin that he lose that basketball game. He ain't waiting. He taking his ball and he going home.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? I'm not waiting for next.
So they some professional. They some professional haters.
See, that's why I had to bring it up, because I knew Big Haynes would understand. Because look, we should have about 2 or 3 more Super Bowl championships in Pittsburgh, but we can have that conversation off here. I ain't gonna throw them out there like that.
No, man, no. Let's throw them out there, because every time we damn play over there, how is everybody on the same system and our headphones ain't working?
There you go.
Ben's got to run to the damn sidelines to get his goddamn plays. Like, hey, what? And then run back and get him tied, and then okay, and then this is when we had paper, the scouting reports, George.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so they would have like somebody forgot something in their room one time, right? So we went back up there and they had somebody in our rooms, like looking through the garbage to see if they found the scout, like if anybody forgot their books or playbooks or whatever. I was like, whoa, we didn't even, like the dude went downstairs, got on the bus, was like, oh shoot, let me run upstairs. He was like, man, somebody was in my room and just like tearing it up. That's the level. That's the level. That's other level stuff, man. And here's the thing. To me, you don't have to do that. To the level that they do it, they're good.
Yeah.
You are good if you just do like that's what's so disheartening to me. And those two teams are really talented, and if they believe in themselves the way that the coach was crying and saying that he did. I'm just saying. Yeah. Practice more.
All right, Big Haynes. We appreciate you coming on, brother. We definitely appreciate you coming on. We got to finish up some stuff tonight, but before you go, let everybody know where to find you. Besides at the SEC championship game in all black, but let them know where to find you, and all the good things you're doing out there in the community.
Yeah, my social media is Veron Haynes. You can find me on Twitter. I just got back onto Instagram. You see a bunch of my dogs over there. We have a French Bulldog breeding company, and that's what I'm doing. I'm a Masonic man. I'm Mason, so our stuff is about giving back to widows and orphans. We tend to do community events every month, and George is a part of that, which is really cool. So you guys will get some more information on that. And honestly, I'm just stay out the way, man. And if you see me, just holler at me, man. That's it. I'm one of a kind.
All right, Big Haynes. We appreciate you, brother. You're welcome anytime. Come back on.
Thank you, guys.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you, man.
Thank you. All right, brother.
All right. All right, Big
Yes,
George,
sir.
man. That was like just a conversation. I like it when it's just a conversation.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Not an interview, but
You
a
didn't have to ask him
conversation. Right? It just kept going. It was a good
Yeah,
thing.
it's always good when they just go. They just talk. Fred was like that.
Yeah.
Like we just let Fred go.
That was a whole different personality of Fred that I saw. I mean, I don't think people were hitting me up. They were like, man, I ain't never see Fred like that. He's always quiet. And I said, no, man, that was different. That was a good interview with Fred. But
it always boils down to the interviewer. You got to know when to let things breathe and know what to ask and whatnot. Just let guys feel comfortable. You know, when they feel comfortable, they talk.
Hey, but let's get into this, man.
What were you guys talking about when I got on, man? Late. Y'all was talking about the game? Or?
We were talking about Ole Miss. We haven't even gotten to Tennessee yet, but we're about to get into it now.
Yes,
about to get into it. So what's your thoughts, fellas, on Tennessee? I mean, you getting ready to go up there to Neyland Stadium, George?
I know they coming off getting mollywopped. Like, what was that about? Like,
Missouri's good, man. I try to tell everybody.
They are good, but they got where was that game at?
It was in Mizzou.
It was in Mizzou.
It was at Mizzou.
Yeah,
but still,
that
was a backhanding.
Yeah, they handled that game from the beginning to the end. And it wasn't even just a mollywop. It was just complete domination, man. It was, you know how you make a dog submit and just roll over on their back. That's what Tennessee looked like at the end of that game, man. Just rolling over on their back and just submitting to Missouri. But it made me think about this game coming up. And one, Tennessee has played bad on the road anyway. All their big time losses have been on the road. They have not played well on the road at all. They played better at home, obviously, but they haven't played anybody at home. So when it comes down to it, when your biggest game and your biggest victories are against a South Carolina team or something like that at home, I mean, that's not big. That's not anything that's really been too much of a challenge. Now, all of a sudden, you got a Georgia team coming in, number one ranked all over the place now in the college football playoffs as well. A team that's a lot more disciplined, a team that has a lot more talent. I don't know how Tennessee, outside of this being a big time venue, in a fan base that's going to be going nuts, right? Because last year, what we did in terms of pumping up the volume in Sanford Stadium, making it the loudest that it's ever been. I'm sure Neyland Stadium is going to be the exact same. I still do not see where Tennessee has any type of advantage in this particular game. I know Big Haynes talked about them spreading the ball around, but this is one of those seasons where they don't spread the ball around that much because they don't have the guys on the outside to do it. They've actually relied more on the run game. They got the guy with the rocket arm and Joe Milton, but Joe Milton has not been very accurate. A lot of their plays come on big plays, big splash plays, which they should for a guy that can throw the ball 100 yards in the air. But on top of that, it's been the run game that's really kept them involved in a lot of different games and them dominating when they have won games, but they haven't beaten anybody that you want to write home about. Graham, what's your thoughts? I mean, I know you got the analytics and the stats and everything else to kind of bring to the table.
Well,
what are your thoughts going into this game?
I mean, I think if you look at Tennessee the last 3 years, 2021 and 2022, those were two very potent offenses. Georgia did a good job of making them look less potent, but this Tennessee offense really has not, it hasn't been that explosive. And some of that has been on Joe Milton, I think. Like, I think that his intermediate accuracy leaves some things to be desired at times. And like those little chunks, that's what you have to be able to get consistently to drive the football down the field and score when you're not hitting those deep bombs. And like he can throw the ball 70 yards on a rope, but There's no Jalen Hyatt anymore. There's no Cedric Tillman anymore. And now they've lost Dante Thornton for the season, who was I thought their most talented outside receiver. So like, I think, last year this game was basically, it came down to Tennessee was going to take their shots down the sideline. And, some of those shots they got behind Georgia and Hooker just didn't hit them. But, I don't know that they've got the guys that are really going to stress Georgia like that this year, especially with the talent Georgia has at safety over the top of all that. So, yeah, I mean, I think that, the offense in SEC play, like, they've been very inconsistent, but I just don't see them being, a team that has the makeup of what is beaten or stressed a Kirby Smart defense in recent years, which is, quarterbacks who can throw accurately on the run, elite wide receivers, like multiple future first rounders, and then high level pass protection. Their offensive line's gotten a little bit better as they've gotten healthy, but their linebackers are beat up and not playing well. And that defense, I think there was some hype that they were better this year. And, once they stopped playing like UConn or a really bad Virginia team, I don't know that they really are that much different than the 2022 unit.
Agree. When you look at it, this would be my philosophy if I'm Josh Heupel. I would just try to run the football. I would pull a Michigan versus Penn State, and I would try to run the ball 30 straight times. I mean, I think that's your biggest threat to a Georgia team that hasn't always played tough in the trenches. Obviously, they've gotten better as the season is going on. We've seen them get a little bit more stout against the run. Those young boys are now stepping up. They're setting the edge better. But if I were them, I would try to lean on Georgia as much as possible because that's been the Achilles heel, and then take your chances on big shots outside the hash, hoping for pass interference calls or maybe some big plays with the big arm. I mean, I think that's your only shot because they do not have the explosive offense like they previously did. I just don't going back to last week against Ole Miss when I thought, Ole Miss was going to be able to have a couple splash plays. That was it. And then Georgia would expose them. They did. The same thing I think is going to happen in this particular game. And it's not going to be something that was in Athens 27-10. I think, Kirby puts up 41, 42, 44 points again. And I'm going to be very surprised if Tennessee hits the 14-point mark.
Ooh.
Very surprised.
What is Tennessee giving up on defense? I mean, on defense. What's their point per game?
Right now, they're giving up. Let's see what they're giving up.
I think it was like per play.
They're giving up
per game.
Points per game.
They're giving
I think
up
it was somewhere around
yards of play.
How many points per game though? I think it was like 22 points per game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think again, it's like let's contextualize what they've done against actual,
competition,
Power 5 opponents. Like
right.
They beat UConn 59-3 2 weeks ago, and all of a sudden there was some Tennessee fans in my DMs that are, in my Twitter mentions that I hadn't heard from in a couple months, and then I don't know where they are this week yet. But I mean, like, Tennessee gave up 34 to Bama. They gave up 27 to Kentucky. Like Devin Leary hadn't thrown for 100 yards in a game for like a month, and then when they played Tennessee, he goes off for 28 to 39. Yeah,
what?
28 to 39.
Yes.
What?
And they should have won that game. Kentucky should have won that game.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, like they held Texas A&M to 13. They held South Carolina to 20. But Florida scored 29 on them, and I think 26 of that was in the first half, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, like that the Florida offense that you saw in Jacksonville put up 26 and a half on them. So, I mean, I think that I think the danger for Georgia in this game is that there's only been one other true road game that Georgia's played this year, and that was at Auburn. Like Vanderbilt doesn't really count in my eyes. You know, the cocktail parties of a 50-50 environment. And so Neyland will be rocking, and Georgia has a bad habit of giving up opening possession touchdowns on offense. I mean, they've actually done it the last 2 years in a row against Tennessee, and then no Moss. But I do think Georgia needs to manage the game from that perspective, and not create a situation where all of a sudden these guys start believing and you get a crowd behind them, because 108,000 people is a powerful force. There's a lot.
Listen, it is a different beast. Those kids, we got a lot of youngsters playing too. Like they're gonna get a taste of something they've never had before. Never. I don't know how loud it's gonna be with it. It should be loud. Like this, it should be loud. But yeah, it's different, And if you're a young guy, going in there for the first time, it's intimidating. It's definitely intimidating. It's more intimidating when they're good, though. I'll tell you that much. when you got Sean Ellis and Albert Haynesworth and those guys teeing up on you, it's a little bit different. John Henderson,
Al Wilson.
Yes, it's a little bit different.
And they don't have that,
but,
Big George.
But
They don't have
but
that.
It's still, 108,000. If they get to going, it could get loud. But man, our guys, man, they're just so locked in, man. They play maturely. You know what I mean? Like, and I guess it's because they don't have a choice, so you won't play. They have the roster to say get it right or you won't play. You know what I mean? And so those guys, they go out there and they do what they're supposed to do at a high level. You know what I mean? So we're gonna see.
I mean, the question that I was having, I was driving down the road earlier talking to a buddy about this game, and I got to a point in the conversation where I was like, I really don't know. I'm having a hard time coming up with a scenario where Tennessee, beats Georgia, aside from just a total, like a 4 turnover kind of, just crazy type meltdown. I mean, I'm not saying that Georgia can't go up there and find themselves in a closer game than a lot of people expect because of the crowd and all of that stuff. But it is, Joe Milton would have to play a game on Saturday that he has never come close to playing really in his football career, his college football career. And then their defense has to be totally different. I mean, I think that's what's different animal about this Georgia team in 2023 is like, in 2021, it was like, well, like, if you can manage to have some stuff go your way, maybe get some turnover luck or something and score, into the 20s or 30s and you got a good defense, like you could see the scenario playing out where 2021 Georgia would lose. Like 2022 Georgia, there were some things that, you're like, well, okay, like if the defense struggles and you're able to do these certain things to that offense, but like the way this offense is playing right now and just getting back a first round right tackle and a top 5 pick at tight end and a healthy lad and like all of those things, it's just like, well, can you hold Georgia under 40? Like, I don't think you can really hold Georgia under 40 if they're playing wide open for 4 quarters with tempo, unless you're like one of the 10 to 15 best defenses in the sport right now. And so, I don't think Tennessee has that. So it's like, even if Tennessee scores 30, I have a hard time seeing them win this game. I have a hard time fathoming them scoring that much, but Georgia's offense, it's just, it does change the equation in some ways a little bit, man. Like how locked in they are and how many different ways they can beat you.
That's what it comes down to. Go ahead, George.
As much as Georgia scores, it's just like you said, it's hard to fathom someone beating them because they too would have to score a lot more than they can. Mm-hmm. Most teams can't score that much. 40 points is a lot of points. You have to score that much to beat this Georgia team. Even if you call it 30s, and it's hard to score 30 points on this Georgia team. Like, so it's kind of like what you're talking about. You can't see a scenario in which Tennessee could beat Georgia. Like, if you think about it though, just think, like, do you think about in nationally, who do you see? Just think about, like, who can really, who has the personnel to run Georgia out of the stadium?
George, I'm going to answer this question.
Personnel and coaching to run Georgia out of the stadium. Like, it's a tough task. Like, you have to play perfect football and you still might lose.
Did you know the top 4 defenses in the nation in terms of points per game are all in the Big Ten? Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, and I'm trying to think who it's one other team in the Big Ten. And it made me think about Michigan and the way people are talking about Michigan's defense and how high-powered their defense is. No, the Big Ten is just down. The Big Ten is just, when Michigan can go to Penn State and run the ball 30-something odd times and win the game without passing, it goes to show
pass attempts in a game.
Right. It goes to show you how bad the play is right now. It's just that they're the best.
Come into Athens. I don't care where you play Georgia at, and only throw the ball 8 times.
Right. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to go well.
George, so when you ask that question, who can do that? Who can actually shut Georgia's offense down at the same time being able to score on Georgia's defense at will? There's not very many teams that can do that except for Georgia.
Yeah.
They're the only team that you would have to replicate exactly who they are, what they do, the type of personnel that they can continue to bring in, and the coaching to be able to do that. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. And I'm not saying they're going to run the table or anything like that, because it's a week-to-week process, right? Mm-hmm. We already talked about this team has to be locked in.
They do have top 5 to 7 offense and defense.
Yeah.
Like, not many teams put that together. You know what I mean? You might have a team they might have a top 10 offense, but they might be 60th in defense. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, Georgia is
like Alabama.
Top. Mm-hmm. Right. They're top.
They're 64th in total offense right now. People don't realize that.
Yeah. Well, because they're going back and they're looking at, Milrose's last 2 or 3 games. That's an anomaly. No. Not many quarterbacks are going to run for 5 touchdowns, right. And those are blown cover. And it was against a team that opens up the entire defense and allows big gaping holes to come through. So you're not going to do that against everybody. But that's an interesting question that you asked, George, because I don't think there's anybody that can do that except Georgia.
I can't see who would, you know what I mean? At the same time, I didn't expect Ohio State to be close to Georgia last year, and they end up playing the CJ play out of his mind, though. So that's a little.
But it goes to show you. He's still playing out of his mind. So it goes to show you, if you got a guy that's that good and a team that obviously Ohio State, exactly, but Ohio State didn't have the defense If they had a defense, they probably would have beaten Georgia. But not everybody has the offense and the defense that can, control a game on both sides of the field, plus the coaching like Georgia. So what do you guys, what's your predictions in this game then? I mean, I think I gave mine. I'm gonna go on a limb and I'm gonna say Georgia 45-14. I just don't see it. Tennessee being able to move the ball that much.
Graham, who has the better offense, Ole Miss or Tennessee?
Ole Miss by far, I think.
That's what I was thinking, and which kind of puts me in the same area as Lamar. So I'm gonna. What did you say, Lamar?
45-14, Georgia.
Thank you. I'm gonna say 42 to 13.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same ballpark with you guys. I think that with Tech coming up, and I could see Georgia basically getting a little more conservative in the second half, trying to get out of there clean. That's stadium has been tough on Georgia players at times over the years in terms of injuries and all that. So I mean, that's priority number one with Alabama up in the distance. But I also think Georgia get to a spot in this game. Georgia's backup offensive line looks pretty good right now. Those young running backs we were talking about earlier, I think that Georgia might end up tacking a little bit on at the end, even if they're kind of are in a clock mode. So I am going to say, what'd you say, George?
42-13.
I was going to say 41 to, I'll say 41 to 17.
Let's go.
There you go. There you go.
All right around each other.
Well, I tell you what, there's not very many big games nationally in terms of the top 25, so I'm going to leave it there. I think everybody just kind of wants to see Michigan lose, but they're playing Maryland this week, and I could see this exact same thing that they did to Penn State, just running through them like crazy. But besides that, fellas, anybody else got anything to talk about tonight before we get up out of here?
No, man.
Yes,
I'm just going to enjoy the game this weekend. First time.
Have fun, man.
My first time in Knoxville since the Hobnail Boot game.
Ooh.
Wow.
So,
it's like homecoming for my man George.
Yeah.
Yeah, first time. first time in Knoxville since then. But hopefully I can find a good tailgate and, have a good time.
Yeah, you'll have fun, man. Downtown Knoxville is it's a cool place. And I used to go to a trade show there like every spring and always enjoyed it. It's nice.
Cool. I'm looking forward to it, man. And also a W.
Yes, sir. As always. So you can come back on and say, you know what? The Dogs are still undefeated. All right, y'all. Hey, as always, see you at 100 Sanford. Go Dogs.
Yes, sir.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the 100 Sanford podcast. Tune in weekly to hear fresh content from the 100 Sanford podcast every Thursday, but also with some pop-up shows every now and then as news breaks. You can also follow the content on our website, www.100sanfordpodcast.com, and email us at dogs@100sanfordpodcast.com. Lastly, reach out to us on social media streams. For Twitter, it's at 100 Sanford, but on IG, TikTok, Facebook, and other accounts, it's 100 Sanford Podcast. All right, folks, that's it. And as usual, see you at 100 Sanford.